Hi everybody, thank you for tuning into Beloiter to Beloiter episode 5. Beloiter to Beloiter is a show where we bring two Beloiters who don't know each other to a table to have them get to know each other better through conversations and deep discussions about life. So let's see who tonight's guests are, and here we are. Alright, so tonight we have two wonderful people here. So first let me introduce myself briefly. I'm Monica Methe, and I'm the host of this show. I'm a senior philosophy major. And perhaps would it be okay if we started with names?
Sure. My name is Bill Conover.
All right, thank you, Bill. All right, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Min, and I go by Min, but my full name is Min-Gyu Lee. Yeah, I'm I'm IR and International Political Economy major.
Oh, that's a very long major name.
Yep, international and international.
Cool, all right, thank you.
And I'm senior.
Sounds good. I'm
Yeah.
also a senior too, suffering from senioritis at this moment.
Yes.
Okay, so Bill and Min, you're both Beloiters, right? As in, like, you both are affiliated with Beloit College at some point.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I know you are a senior. That means you're a student here. May I ask what you do?
Yeah, sure. I'm the director of the college's spiritual life program. I've been here for 11 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, and what I do is I work with students on their supporting them in their religious and spiritual life.
I believe I took a mindfulness class with you 2 years ago.
Indeed, yeah, and I still teach that every semester. Teach mindfulness. Mindfulness is really, I think, helpful here at the college because there are a lot of students who are not interested in spirituality or religion. They feel actually a little bit leery about that. But mindfulness is this way of coming in touch with who we are in a really basic, simple way that each person can define the meaning of it for themselves. So yeah, and it's also really good at reducing stress. Do you still practice meditation?
I do my best. I mean, mindfulness is really getting in touch with oneself through breathing. I must say I'm not as diligent as I used to be when I was taking your class, but
Well, you seem to still be breathing, so.
Yes, that's thankfully I'm not I'm not patient zero of the zombie outbreak here.
Good.
I'm actually really fascinated with you two meeting together because you teach mindfulness and meditation, and that's really, coming in touch with yourself. And Min, I know you have a very interesting background growing up in India.
Yes.
So I was in India only for like a month, and that was like a very highly, like, there was so much happening with like spirituality and religion there. I'm curious to hear like what your take on this is.
Okay, so I moved to India when not moved, but just me and my brother. I studied in India for 8 years. So I went there when I was 4th grade, and I graduated from there so I was 1 year in Mumbai and 7 years in this southern India, in this state called Tamil Nadu. And I don't have, like, as a Christian, being in India, that was a kind of very different, because Christian is very minority religion in India. However, like, my school was Christian school, so all the majority were Hindu people, and that's like common religion in India. So
Yeah. So were there ways that the Christian school had a particularly Indian flavor? So what does Christianity look like in an Indian school?
I mean, it's just like any other Christian chapel, the pastor, and it's like just saying, it's just that my school had very flexibility. I mean, although it was Christian school, actually my school had to respect the Muslim population within my school, so we did not have any pork dish for, how we have in commons, where we eat. We didn't have any pork, but we did have beef. That was because, I don't know why they didn't.
That's actually really fascinating because I thought beef was like a big no because that's cow, and cows are considered holy in Hindu tradition.
Yeah, that I actually still, also as of now, I still don't understand how this works, but because other restaurants around my school did not have, or most of them did not have pork dish, but whereas they did have beef dish. So I don't know, it's just the place that I stayed in was kind of more flexible in this to the beef and not flexible in regards to pork. I still don't know, but my school did not have pork dish at all. Although many students actually asked school dining hall, like, we should have pork dish because we really want it, we love it. And,
So I'm interested to hear about how you and your brother, by yourselves?
So it was a boarding school.
Okay.
So,
did your parents send you there together?
oh yeah, both of us, we went there together. So my brother was 6th grade and I was 4th grade. And my parents stayed back in Korea. They're brave. If I think of it now.
Are you and your brother, are you close to each other from doing this together?
Yeah, so we lived in different dormitories.
Sure.
But for 1 year, when I was in Mumbai, I was at missionary's house in India, and that was really fun memory. I stayed in public school, so I had to learn Hindi. I thought actually Hindi was English for a while because I did not have any exposure to English when I was 4th grade.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, so I actually did understand Hindi for a year, and then after going to school in international school in South India, this school called Kodaikana International School, I forgot basically every Hindi that I learned, and Hindi and a little bit of Marathi, and I kind of picked up English immediately from there. But yeah, my brother was in different dormitory and I was in different dormitory. We were in the same dormitory for just 1 year, I think. Yeah. That was fun.
It must have been quite an adventure, though.
Yeah, it was.
4th grade, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I can't imagine.
No.
Like, college, I'm finally saying bye to my parents, and I'm kind of living on my own, but not really.
Yeah. For me, in 4th grade meant that we went to art class down the hallway instead of staying in the room the whole time.
That was me too.
Much more adventurous.
And
were you scared as a kid?
Actually, no. I shouldn't say this, but I actually wanted to stay with my friend. I really wanted to be independent when I was young. So I think that made it possible for me to not be like lonely and stuff. And I forgot to mention, my school is very interesting location. It's located 7,000 feet high in the mountain. So it's like basically I just was surrounded by a mountain, and the school is there in the middle. So
that's high altitude.
Yeah.
7,000 feet.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so did you get to spend a lot of time outdoors in
Yes.
in the forest?
So every Saturday we have hiking time. So I was really keen on hiking. I loved hiking. So we have this, like, if you go 10 hikes, and there's A, B, C, D, and different levels of hiking. So like D hiking is like about 11 hours to 13 hours of walk per day.
Oh yeah.
And C hike is like around 9 to 11 hours, around there. And we also have like hiking, camping, and it's a privilege that's given because I get a day off from school and I get to go hiking, so I just love it.
Well, this is something that you and I have in common. As a kid, I too spent many days, this was with my family, hiking in the mountains of New Hampshire. And still love to backpack and hike whenever I can. My perfect day is getting up as the sun rises and and
Yeah.
getting up into the mountains.
And I get back my dormitory when the sun sets, or after sun sets.
No, would you go off by yourself on these hikes?
No. It's like as a group. So
Okay.
I usually if it as the level goes high, lesser people will be there, of course, because and also sometimes it's really dangerous because it's really deep in the forest since it's 7,000 feet high in the mountain. Sometimes we get to see like wild elephants.
Wow.
I actually got chased by elephant once. I almost died.
Wow.
Wow.
There's a waterfall that's like third longest waterfall in entire India, which is called Rat Tail Fall, or that is their local name, but it's actually translated as rat tail.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and I actually almost slipped, and I actually was climbing on that waterfall, and I almost died at the time. But there was a hiking guide, he saw me immediately and pulled me up. So me and my friend actually, we both were hanging there, and we've been like shouting, "Help!"
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was like
Oh my
shaking for like an
goodness.
hour.
Wow. What?
My parents doesn't know about this though.
Oh.
Okay. Well, this is going public, so do you want to say something to your parents like right now?
They wouldn't understand what I'm saying, since they're Korean.
Okay, so no Korean subtitles then.
Right. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
that's.
gosh.
But no, when I think about it, it's good memory though.
Yeah, it's definitely a story to tell.
Do you how do you feel being in the city of Beloit, you know, and on campus? Does it?
Actually, the environment here is like, actually, school environment. It's more similar to how my high school and middle school and part of my elementary school is, because that school is actually all from kindergarten all the way to high school. So it's very similar. So like, we are very close to the professor. We like interact with them. Sometimes they also invite to their house occasionally. That happens here too. And also the surrounding, it's very, especially farmers market day, it looks like that my school is on Sunday. We have Sunday market. Here we call it farmers market. Yeah.
It's a Saturday market.
Yeah.
Just happens to involve farmers, right?
Yeah. They're the farmers too in India.
Do a lot of students come down to the farmers market? I don't come that often.
Well, I guess we can kind of co-answer that. Do you?
I do okay, like at least twice a month. So like,
Twice a month.
yeah, I miss twice.
Yeah.
The other two I go.
I think I've been going to the farmers market as many times as I could, just because there's so many things that you can get here, fresh produce, and you know who's growing it, and also you get to meet the people who grow the food,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate that.
Do you interact with them?
Yeah, I mean as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Conversation generally.
Mm-hmm.
No crazy, you know, let's go on a tag type of interactions, but really just nice conversations. How are you doing? And you get to know the people, and there's one lady whom I got to know really well over the course of 4 years. She sells crystals.
Wow.
Yeah, and we generally, when we meet, we have like a super sweet chat every time.
That's nice.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, main reason I come here is to get the spring roll. I like this.
I
the egg roll.
understand.
Yeah, it's really good. That's the main reason I go here.
Okay.
Yeah, the spring rolls here are highly recommended.
I'll have to try them.
Yeah, they're like right there, but.
And the crab roll and spring roll and
Mm.
yeah, they're really good.
Well, that makes me think about this question. So, for you, what's the best food you can get in Beloit?
Good question. I actually love that Mexican restaurant. I forgot that place
La
name.
Casa Grande?
No, not that.
La Fuente.
La Fuente. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like that place.
Yeah.
That's my favorite place, I think.
I haven't been there, but I've heard that's really good and authentic.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I went with my other Mexican friend, and she said, "Oh, this is like most similar to the food that I usually eat at home. So you should really go with me." And I went there, and it was like, wow,
Cool.
new exposure, new world here. Yeah, you should really go.
I'll try it. It's just
Yeah.
right up the street from where I live.
Wait, so where is this, if I may ask?
It's real close. It's on Wisconsin Avenue,
Mm-hmm.
just a couple blocks east of campus.
Okay.
It's a small place.
Mm-hmm. and the owner is really friendly.
Neat. I will have to check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that detail. I'm always like, on the look for like good food.
Good.
Yeah. I'm curious, what about you? What is your favorite food around here?
Oh, okay. Boy, my favorite, I think I would have to say, are the apple cider donuts you can get at Apple Hut. Have you guys been to? Oh, wait, I'm talking to the camera. Apple Hut is this orchard, and they make these donuts with, and the juice that for the batter is fresh apple cider.
Wow.
And oh man, these things they cook them right there. They're hot when you get them.
Oh my gosh.
Fantastic.
Ooh.
Yep. Unfortunately, the orchard just closed.
Oh.
Just for the end of the season.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they'll come back next year.
Right. Oh, I wish I could have tried them. I've never been there. Have you?
I never heard of it.
Oh,
I really should.
Oh, they're delicious.
Yeah, hopefully our listeners here get a chance to go to Apple Hut and try the apple cider donuts.
Yep.
They sound fantastic. I would totally go if
Pretty
I had
good.
a car.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So this conversation I want to take it into maybe in the direction of nature and self and getting to know oneself, given that both Min and Bill, you guys seem to have the hiking aspect in common, and not necessarily the parts of getting chased by elephants or falling off of cliffs, but I think when we're in nature, and I've kind of had experience, I love hiking as well. I love going up into mountains. Last semester I had a chance to go up into the Himalayas, and that was like a mind-blowing experience for me. And the tranquility that I felt there, and just sort of the clear-headedness of being up in the mountain. When you guys are doing the hike and you're really in the moment, what's your state of being? What do you feel that brings out that aspect?
Well, for me, it's a chance to put away a lot of the mental noise that just fills my mind most of the time. To put away cell phone technology. It's very elemental. Human beings have been walking the earth, from the very earliest days. And we don't do much walking. There's something about walking to the point where you're really tired,
right,
and you keep going. I think there's also for me, there's a real pleasure at getting to places where the sounds of a road disappear. And, particularly, I sometimes like to do hiking in the deep of winter. Because when you walk out in truly deep, fresh powder snow, the silence is overwhelmingly pure. And I feel like that's a spiritual experience, to be enveloped in this great silence.
Yeah, I can really relate to the noise disappearing, the silence. Maybe if it's okay to share my experience here, when I was up it was a study abroad group, so we had 20 other people with us. Up in the Himalayas, there's really no lights. So we do hear sounds because there's cattle, there's sometimes people moving, but it gets dark. Like the lights, the artificial lights, you just don't see them anymore. And you're enveloped by this absolute darkness, and you're with yourself. You may have the person next to you, but you can't really you sense them there, but you're the one there, and it's almost like the darkness is like a mirror onto itself, and you see yourself in it. more than positive. I shouldn't be like assuming anything here, but
My experiences. So usually my hiking in my high school, it usually starts like this. So we go out on the road and we pass this kind of village, kind of local village, and there's only one road under there. And then when you go straight, and then you'll be seeing there's like a small kind of place, and we go in there, and that's where all the hiking starts. That takes different directions all around the mountain around my high school. So once you pass that hole, it's like kind of, you know, the Narnia movie,
yeah.
and in that wardrobe, and you go in there and you see a whole new world out there. That's how it is, like how I see this hiking. And so like it's like for me like entering a different country that you don't have access in normal days. So like it's like Saturday is like my trip to another place. That's how I see my hiking experiences. It's like trip to a nature.
You're a Christian, right?
Yes.
I heard you say that, yeah. So is there a way that those hikes are a way to keep the Sabbath? A way to... It sounds like by moving away from the school and going to this different country.
It's like a appreciation of the creation, I should say.
That is deep.
Yeah.
Thank you, keep going.
And I mean, like I have to keep reminding myself every week. Like it's like church Sunday is like for me like reminding myself and kind of staying away from all this I should say material world, and kind of go back and remind myself that this is that God has given for us. And Saturday is like that for me when I was in high school, and then Sunday you kind of get that feeling, say thankful praise and stuff. That's how it works for me when I was in that school.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, so what's it like for you to practice your faith here at Beloit? How is it to be Christian for you here?
Actually, it's very difficult. Actually, at least for me, it's kind of difficult. So, I mean, work is there, but the other thing is that friends, like the balance between friends and also my religion, like there's so many things or activities out there, and when you hang around with your friend, you have no choice sometimes but to go with the flow, because you also have to balance. You cannot only like do one thing fully as a person who wants to be like, you know, have a kind of activities with your friends, and like, you know, my desire is there, so I have to balance those two. And on Sunday, like I always find it really difficult to get up. I mean, I never missed church even once, but except once I was sick.
So you do go to church here?
Yeah.
What church do you go to?
Actually it changes not every weekend.
Okay, but you move around.
Yeah, I actually explored a lot around.
Wow.
There's this interfaith, there's an intervarsity Christian team. This he's really this Casey.
You know Casey?
Yeah.
Sure, I know him. I work with him.
Yeah. So he takes like on Sunday he takes like trips. These days he's taking us to many different churches. But sometimes I'm late to his, then he has to of course go to the service, so he has to leave me. Then I go to the church on the way to Walgreens from campus. There's a church.
First Congregational,
yes,
big brick church. Yeah.
I go to that one instead because that one is like always open to everyone. And I know many people in there too. So. But before, in my freshman year and sophomore year, I usually went to Rock Valley Chapel. Yeah, I know many people there too. Yeah, so that's how it set up.
Yeah. So, but it's still difficult, huh?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Is it difficult to talk about your faith?
No. I mean, I'm very open about my faith. Like before eating, I always pray. Like if whoever is next to me, I always pray and then I eat. they just like stare at me and they just. I think they're finding it uncomfortable that I'm praying, but I'm fine with that.
Yeah, no, I've had instances like that too. It's not that I don't do exactly the same thing as Min does, but like I'm from Japan. I grew up in Japan, so we have a little ritual right before we eat. We say "itadakimasu," which is to appreciate the food. Like I'm receiving the food. Thank you. And I do that, and it's usually the people around me who don't know it that become really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder what's that discomfort about?
yeah.
I guess just they're not used to it, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing that I can see. I mean, they don't mind us doing that. Like, they're very open. Beloit is super open in many different things. So they don't mind it. But I think so my friends, like, when they first saw me doing that, they're like, oh, okay. They'll just wait until I finish praying and they'll go with the conversation. And later, they get used to it and they're like, oh, he's just praying, and they'll just talk, and then like I'm done, like, oh, let's eat, and we just eat. So like we get used to it. But
so it's become natural
Yeah.
among you and your friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's like totally fine. It's just the beginning. So if I sit with somebody who I've never said before, but I pray, and then they're like, oh, you pray. I'm like, oh, you're Christian? And that's how we carry in some other conversation occasionally. But at the beginning, I think some people I've seen occasionally, they're like, oh, okay. That kind of reaction,
Yeah. Yeah, I think I sometimes feel the discomfort maybe has to do with the fact that perhaps they don't know what exactly is happening, because you're not really saying anything usually. I mean, prayer can be a vocal thing too, especially if you're with a community of people praying. But if you're just kind of one-to-one with the food, then generally it's more or less kind of quiet. So maybe it's the silence aspect.
There's a silence, and then there's a kind of an intimacy when you're right there performing something that for them is not normal to them.
Right.
And then I think it's a moment of when you perform your faith in that way, you're being read. You're being read as, oh, you're doing this, and then all of the associations people have with Christian prayer or whatever, those are all present in their mind, and then they have to negotiate. Wait, no, I know you, Min, but now there's something, you're doing this thing that doesn't seem to compute, doesn't seem to connect with what I thought I knew about you, and there's discomfort there. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon that I observe with.
Sure. No, is that different from other cultural contexts you've been in? Like this sort of awkwardness around performing ritual, of performing
right,
religious
any
ritual?
kind of practice. Do you want to get this? I mean, I can always add, but if you have something.
I mean, as a Christian school in India, that was not a common thing, since there are many Christians too, so they've seen that happening. They actually sometimes make students, they create kind of incentive for students to go to church actually, even for non-Hindu people too. So, especially when I was elementary school, they kind of made a lot of, oh, we'll give you this kind of thing and that kind of thing in the place. But as you grow older, I think that kind of slowly go away. But when you're young, they try to let them get exposed to Christianity a lot. I mean, but let's going back to the point. I didn't find it, other than, I don't know. Yeah, I don't have much experience on that.
Maybe so. I'm thinking of the instance with food, because you grew up in India and I had time to spend time in Nepal, where they eat food by the hand. If you grew up in Nepal, if you grew up in India, generally the food is eaten by the hand, right? When I say we American students who were on the study abroad program went there, I think the first few days seeing our host families eat with the hand was a little bit surprising, and it's kind of like, wow, oh my god, wait, did you wash your hands? That kind of discomfort type thing that you experience. But I think at the end of the semester, which is to say, the third month, you're trying to do the same thing, but you fail as the doll kind of drips off of your, rice and fingers.
Right.
But I think there is definitely an element of getting familiar, and then as long as you're being open to it, I think, just like with the friends that we have around us, we can share these experiences that may or may not be the most familiar thing that they've encountered in their life. Maybe, have you had any episodes with like food and fingers and people getting used to it?
Yeah, so I mean, when I first saw that, actually I was very exposed to that kind of idea in Mumbai. When I first saw that, I was like, wow, that's new, and I was young, so I'm very flexible in my mind, so I didn't find that awkward at all. I was like, that sounds fun. That was my reaction. And as I grew older, and I saw, so there would be like a new student joining, and there would be some other Korean students joining into the school. And I see them, and they saw like other Indian students eating with hands sometimes, occasionally. Like most of them, we use spoon actually in my high school, since it's very westernized. But there's students who like to eat with their hands, they find that more comfortable. We'd be like, oh, okay. But they see that for the first time in their life, and they're like, wow, look at that, they're eating like with their hands. And I'm like, that's culture here, and that's normal. And later they kind of copy that and they try to do it. They're like, oh my god, it's hot and all. And they slowly get used to it and they find it normal. I mean, that's like interesting transition that I see, like as students from like unfamiliar in that situation, and they eventually get familiar by being interested in trying them out in curiosity.
I think this is also an interesting metaphor for exploring the boundaries between cultures. And when a person is invited to experience life through some of the practices of another culture, it can be very reassuring as long as those experiences aren't imposed. Or I think what happens a lot in this country also is this sense of seeing that you have a different cultural value, and then basically ignoring you. Like I don't know if that ever comes up, ignoring you, or sort of treating the other as sort of exotic. It brings up the question for me about being an international student here, and how that has been for you. Do you feel, so this word Beloiter, right, that we're talking about here, there's a certain like identity, like who's a Beloiter and who's not a Beloiter. Do you feel like, yeah, I'm a Beloiter, this is my place? Or coming from Korea, have there been barriers that you've come up against?
In Beloit?
Yeah, like on the campus.
Not really, maybe because I was exposed to another culture when I was in international school. That kind of made me very flexible in many different ways. Whereas I think other Korean students who came directly from Korea to here, they might have been different. But my experience was that I was like, oh, that's fine. I mean, people are different, and my school was like with so much diversity in that school in India. So in my case, no, not really.
Yeah, I think same for me too. Well, similar, maybe not as much. And it's kind of, I also went to an international school, but before that I went to a public Japanese school. So I had such a gap from like Japanese school to the international school and then here. And it was one of these things where you just get used to the diversity around you. Nobody's actually really the same as you are. Moment's comment about how all perspective and all experiences and all cultures are valid in their own ways. And I really feel that it's about you may be surprised when you encounter something new that you haven't before, but as long as you're open to it and you don't, shut it off, it can be like a life-changing experience, and I really appreciate that. And I am so thankful that you two were able to come out tonight. Since we are kind of running overboard, but I do want to get maybe like a sentence or two of like advice or some kind of message that you could share with the audience.
What about being a Beloiter?
It could be that. It could be about, getting in touch with yourself, or being open to new experiences, or, seeing yourself as like a spiritual sacred being. Anything really that comes to mind.
Wow, I need to think about that for a moment.
Okay, Min, I'm gonna throw it to you, like in maybe like 30 words. Go!
I don't know.
Okay, so we are having a bit of a I won't say problem, challenge. Oh, okay, go. Ready?
Yeah. I think that kindness is one of the most underrated virtues. And I would say that it's possible to practice kindness toward ourselves and toward others, and this sort of willingness to see people as they are without imposing, maybe even unconsciously imposing our judgments on them or on ourselves. I think that, the Dalai Lama said that loving kindness is his religion, and that's pretty close to the religion I would want to see blossom on campus.
I am 100% on the same page as you are. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Something that I learned while being in many different countries, I actually have been I was in South Africa, I was in Belgium, and then Korea, India, and US. Something that I learned is that, and also many different economic situations, like backgrounds, meeting many different economic backgrounds. Something that I noticed is that people aren't that different from you, regardless of their economic background or their religion, or we all have like something in common. Like we love our family, and we want to protect protect something that we share in common, like for example our environment and all.
So we're all humans? We're all human beings that inhabit planet Earth?
Yeah, actually, like whatever you find, you think that somebody, wherever you go, you find some obstacles, but actually the obstacles are created by some people who are just like you are. So like, this is something that I always tell myself whenever I go to an interview or something. Like they're just like me, and they've been raised in some kind of a background, might be slightly different, but they're not so much different from us. So like I always have courage. So I don't know, to all Beloiters and all people who are watching this, I want to say that like have courage as you live in this world.
Wow. Thank you. That was deep. I am very touched. I think it does take courage to actually share what we really feel. So, alright. Thank you so much for coming to Beloiter tonight. We really appreciate it. You were here and you shared your insights with us. And
Thanks for having us.
yeah, thank you.
That's fun.
Alright, so everybody, thank you for tuning in to our 5th episode of Beloiter to Beloiter. I hope you have a great week, and don't forget to be loving kindness and you've got courage. See you!